Day traders, here's our update on Monero. We'll do a top down. Go to the monthly level. Pretty decent wall here. So from the move around 80, again, we like, it's best to measure this versus the dollars. That's what we're pricing everything in dollars, so that's what you want to measure it against. But from the low of the move of around 80 to this tweezer top, tweezer top's just two topping tails up here around 480. We retraced more than halfway of that move. You could run Fibonacci, maybe it's 80%. But the point is that that's pretty typical pullback after a dramatic run up. So we're kind of in that zone where more than likely you're going to get a higher low longer term and cycle turn back up. We go to the weekly level. Here was the base. It broke out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A little bit longer than the 8.6 frequency count. This is be the fourth week down off the highs, and starting to see the exponential moving average bands develop here right around 200. That's the right spot to hold from a trend perspective. You tend to get higher lows at or near those bands. And then the weekly cycle is still coming down. That crossed in mid-January, kind of with the rest of the market, that same weekly level cross, and that's still coming down. I mean, this is a fairly new data set on this weekly level, but just eyeballing it, you're only maybe halfway back down the cycle. I mean, that can turn up at any point, but it's noteworthy that maybe we still have another several weeks here before this cycle wants to play out. That's not the greatest looking oscillator though. The daily, the daily broke the bands after trying to hold intraday around 3.25, and here on the 30th we definitely broke those bands. So the intermediate term's been down. You can see the direction of the 8's been descending again since the middle of January. Still remains to be seen whether that's going to turn up. Now the daily cycle actually bottomed here in February, and you still made lower lows even though the cycle turned up. So I wouldn't call that necessarily low. It's already cycled up. Let's look at the 4-hour, probably get a better read on what the cycle's doing there. Now we can see from a trend perspective, nothing but lower highs ever since we've kind of rolled into what we call the southern hemisphere, which is where pi line is. All right, so that was rising. Same with the 200, and then all that's rolled over. So it's not that's just showing you this intermediate term bear market and bearish environment we've been in since the middle of January. So lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and this essentially was a drop, V bottom drop, and we've since bounced, more than likely creating a pivot. So from here, we're just waiting to see if with this 4-hour cycle, if we roll back over, and then there's an opportunity for an inverse head and shoulders at that point around 200 again. You could retest the lows, double bottom, you could break. I mean, anything's possible. But the point is that from this cycle move here, this is the ebb and flow. Now we could consolidate sideways with this cycle back down, and then cycle invert, and the next cycle up, head back higher. But that's what I'm waiting on, is if we've been kind of buying into this dip. If you get above this high, that's gonna change the intermediate term picture. Getting above here, when we start making higher highs, that's what you care about from a momentum perspective. Otherwise, we just have an intermediate term downtrend within the context of a long-term uptrend. So it's just patient trading. I mean, if you buy something well, you should probably take some off if you bought anything below 200 here on this bounce. Pretty good percentage bounce. The cycle's high, and then that way you got some room to add back if we do kind of pull back towards 200. And then on the upside, I mean, The next big picture spot to maybe make a lower high will be up here around pi in the 200, 340 to 360 zone. That would be the next um, area to focus on or target on the upside. All right, guys, have a great weekend. I'll just add for those who have been kind of following this a day in the 100.